the hell just happened here? So yesterday the guys just had to pick up this Alfa 166 and they took the engine and gearbox and whatnot, but the car is still here because they tried to take it out with the 4x4 and they were not able to do so because the car is very heavy with all the parts inside of it. They did this to the ground, so maybe Monday they try again. They left me with this. Some of you guys in the Americas may recognize this model very well. This was the last Alfa Romeo model to be sold on the United States, for example, and this really may be a familiar vision for you guys. So I hope this content is more familiar to you guys, especially because we have a beautiful and running, roughly, V6 Busso turbo. Exactly the same, or almost exactly the same of this 166. But the hood does not open, so I have to deal with that. Very annoying. Okay, the car is here. It's been parked for a few months now. It has a brake update, bigger brakes, but the car stops worse than it did when it had the previous brakes. Okay, and since they replaced the timing belt, the cam belt, the car runs rough, and it failed on MOT for the exhaust gases. Okay, so I have to check out the timing of the engine like I did on that 166. As you can see, the V6 turbo benzina, and the super means exactly that. Inside we have a very luxurious car for the time, and it still is today a very luxurious car. At the same time, it has very sporty seats, front and also on the back side. It is a three-seater on the back side, but it's more like a two-seater. Okay, the middle part it has a seat belt, but you don't want to sit on there, so it's more like a two-seater on the back. The car has been slightly lowered, or very lowered, and in the moment we will drive it together to see the first impressions of this car. So I have to be careful with the brakes, I suppose, and the power may be a little bit lacking. I just drove it to the garage here, and I noticed that the clutch pedal is very stiff and at the same time very spongy, so maybe a fluid flush will take care of that. And here we go. The Alfa 164 was the last Alfa Romeo to be sold on the United States. Now, just with the Giulia and the more models, we have that again on the States, but this was the last car. This one, the Alfa 155, was the little sister to the 164. As you can notice, the lines are very similar. The wing mirrors, the door handles are almost exactly the same, as you could saw on my video for the handles. And overall, the construction is very, very similar. So we have a continuous development of the models. I'm lacking here my Alfa 156. The Alfa 156 is the model after the 155. For you guys that don't know the history of the brand. And the Alfa 166 is the direct successor for the 164. Where is the 165? I don't know, maybe lost in production. Just kidding. So yes, Alfa Romeo does that. It jumped numbers. I don't know why yet. This is a very robust and very good update of the Alfa 164. Cat, no, that car is not yours. No fur, no nails, no punctured leather, nothing. Okay, so the Alfa 166 is the very best of the Alfa 164. Better engines, better interiors, better suspension, very good suspension. This thing really, it drives like a small car, being a very large car. So I will miss you, 166, but 164, we will have a lot of fun together. So it's been a long time since I drove a 164. The one that I drove, it was a 2-liter twin-spark engine. So things here, I have the ABS light on, I have my oil pressure gauge at 6 bar, it's nice. This is a 1994 model. It has 266,000 kilometers. The idle is very, very rough, as you can hear. it is like misfiring. That can be because of spark plugs, engine leads, out of timing, or a mix of the above. On these V6 engines, you really want to get it to temperature at least a bit, because the lubrication system is a bit old school and it needs to be really nice and warm to be able to be driven hard. Okay, I don't intend to drive it hard, but as you can imagine, I have to test it, so I will accelerate a bit. As you can hear, it is shooting flames almost from the exhaust. What appears to be a very bad timing. It appears to be. The steering pump is doing all sorts of noises. Gearbox is tight. This movement here is stuck to protect it to not to engage the reverse by accident. And the clutch pedal is very weird. How about the AC? Auto, and the temperature I want about 20 degrees centigrade, and he does the rest. The positions, the wind speed, all his job. Oh, the suspension is horrible. It's riding all the bump stops. I do not like that because it means it's the frame of the car that is suffering all of the bumps. So you'll start to get all sorts of noises inside of the car, and also cracks may appear on your frame. Oh, the gear stick is very stiff. Very stiff. To engage second gear, I know Alfas are known by second gear issues, but this is a Fiat gearbox, no issues there. I know you guys say Fiat, but I'm Portuguese, so we say Fiat. It's the I that we accentuate, Fiat. My way of saying it, no problems there. So it goes, when I accelerate, it really goes. I don't want to take it too much right now. The speedometer does not work at all. I have to see if I have a sender just for the speedometer, or if the info comes from the ABS system. On the car on this stage, I don't think so. I don't think it's the ABS that does that function. I did already told you about that on my video about the ABS systems. So, but it's funny, I have an ABS problem and the speedometer does not work. The ride is very bumpy, not good for my image. The AC, okay, appears to be not that bad, maybe a little bit colder. The misfiring is not present, only at idle. The clutch and gear stiffness may be an issue of the car being stopped for so long. It appears to be getting better. So functions, like I told you, test everything. The washers are good, the wiper blades are shit, and the horns, nice. The lights, I have to test it at home. And the wiper arms don't have enough strength to push against the glass, so I have water in here. Nice, it's auto, not auto really, but electronic. Very stiff, this car. If it has coilovers, I recommend it to raise it up a bit, not to be on the bump stops. But if it has coil springs only, maybe some other solution for this. This car have automatic suspension control. More simple than that, I don't know. So the car could be sportier or not. Tires rub on the body. This power thing, okay. Why does the car is so bad at idle and so good at acceleration? Again, can be timing. You can time an engine to be very rough at idle and be very powerful at full RPM. Like this, you can see, for example, that those big engines, those coming engines, diesel ones that do the pulls, to the drag races, for example, they have to start with starting fluid. The idle is so bad, so wrong, because the timing of the injection is so advanced, is so early, that the car cannot run at idle. It can only run at high RPM. That can be the thing here, but only after we confirm. I do not like to do anything before I confirm everything. But I already can feel here a connection with the car. I like that. I like to, whatever car it is, I work with all sorts of brands and models of cars every day. It is my profession. I try not to choose sides, okay? I try not to see which brand is the best or whatever, but I can see brands that are good and bad at several things. That being said, I like to do a test drive on every car that I fix. No matter the problem that led the car to the workshop, I really like to connect with it. For example, this car is leaning to the right. If I did not drove the car to this point and I have to do suspension work, for example, the customer can say, innocently or not, now the car veers to the right. The car was not like that, and I can say, I don't know, I did not drive the car, but in fact it is leaning to the right, badly also. Okay, so that being said, about the power delivery is good, and the car when it's hot, the idle is nice, okay, but not perfect. Now about the second complaint of my friend here, the brakes have no power. So you can test that in several ways. What I have to do is do a hard brake test. The car has a lot of brake power. But only if I press it hard. Okay, I have to do a little more testing because there is a lot of stuff inside the car. I don't want anything to fly off here. And but the feeling I have is the initial part of the braking is not bad. The pedal has a little bit of travel. It is a bit. The feeling is not really there of the braking. Only if I brake really hard, yes, the wheels will lock up. If you want to understand if your car needs bigger brakes in terms of braking power, you can do this test exactly. If the car locks the wheels, you do not need bigger brakes. But in this case, we need a better brake feel to be confident. Every time I push on the pedal, it just slows down, it does not brake. That is the feeling that is lacking on this car. So, as I am telling you, my viewers, for the past 2 years of my channels, brake fluid, brake fluid, brake fluid, and also brake fluid. Yes, and you can replace your brake fluid too, every 2 years or 40,000 kilometers at maximum. Why I'm telling you this is the first thing that I will do on this car is to replace the brake fluid. My father. And well, replacing the brake fluid is good for several reasons. First of all, it needs to be replaced. Did you know that? Every 2 years or 40,000 kilometers. Yes, that is true. Now, knowing that, I will replace the brake fluid, and as I am on there, I will replace the clutch and master cylinder brake fluid as well. Why not? I already did that several times on my channel, and down there on the description I leave you several links to do so. But I will do it on this car because we will have a bit of a problem on this assembly. As they did put bigger brakes on this car, the brakes from the 166, now you cannot do the bleeding or the purging or the whatever or the flush the same way you did on the 164. The assembly of this caliper is on top of the disc, and the bleeder valves are not on the top of the caliper anymore. Can you guess what I'm thinking here? In order to do a purging of the air inside of the system, the air goes up, right? Not sideways. So I have to remove the caliper, put it in a position so the bleeder valves go vertical, and then open the breather valves, and thus taking out all of the air. That can take care of 90% of this brake feel. I can almost assure you that it is the problem. Also, I have to see, for example, if the brake booster is okay, if the vacuum lines are okay, and you can also check that while driving the car. So how can you do that? For example, on my Alfa 155 it's not good. The test is the following: you are driving along, okay, and now you pump your pedal 3 times, the brake pedal. Make sure that no one is behind you. 1, 2, 3. The brake feel, the brake assistance is spot on, is always consistent, is always the same. If it starts to get worse and worse every time you push on the pedal repeatedly, it's because you have a bad servo, a bad vacuum pump, if the car has it, a vacuum leak, somewhere along those lines. In here, I can assure you the vacuum is spot on. So we have here either a problem with the flexible hoses. The fluid itself is very thick and old and grimy and almost exactly like it is every single time I do brakes. So I will do videos for each and every issue of this car, for the brakes, for the speedometer, for the engine malfunctions, the misfiring and all, and everything I encounter that is relevant, of course, for this. I will talk about that. A bit of a torque steer here, there, almost hit the curb. The torque steer is because of the high camber, and because the car is very low, the camber goes also really high, so the torque steer, or the bump steer in this case, is also really high. Yeah, so I hope you like this video. I hope you like this first drive of this Alfa 164. My growing number of watchers there in North America, I think they will like this kind of this content for this car, this model, because it's more familiar to you guys. And another thing that I want to talk about very fast, the needles pointing down that you see on the Mercedes and Audis nowadays, and you say now the Alfa Romeo brand is bringing that or copying that from Audi and Mercedes. They're not, okay? In Europe and the rest of the world, the Alfa Romeo brand launched that needles down system design thing in 1997, okay? More than 20 years ago. And at the time, owners of Mercedes and Audis and whatnot say, what's the point? What's the gimmick for? That is stupid. And now they all doing it. My German accent. I have blinkers. Yes, I have blinkers. Why? I don't know. People being people. So yes, needles down is an Alfa Romeo thing, now that not an Audi or Mercedes, at least on these more modern cars. 30 years until this date, it is really an Alfa Romeo thing that the other brands just took from us. Shame of them. So spread the word, guys. Another thing about here, the speedometer. If your speedometer does not work and the kilometers or miles counter not working too, the problem may not be the cluster. If the kilometers or miles counter counts but the speedometer don't, it is the cluster, okay? In this case, I think the problem is the sender or maybe the wiring, something like that. A video for that, I think, will be a must. Yeah, do you agree? Guys, I'll see you on the next video. I hope you are doing fine. Cheers for all of you guys all around the world. Bye. And so, here she goes. Bye.